more guys, you keep some guys fresher than you might otherwise be able to?
Yeah, that's always something. But then you're also, you know, as you know, the game here ends up being a battle of attrition, and when you get somebody hurt, which they obviously are, people are going to miss some games. You know, who's behind them, what's it going to look like when the next person has to step in there, and I feel a lot more comfortable about that this year.
Well, I'm sure it's a good problem to have when you have TJ and Alex, but how do you find reps or snaps for Herbig coming later season, knowing that those two like to play 90+%?
They do, but there'll be reps, and I think no matter how many he gets, I think he'll do something with them. If he's a 10, 15, 20 play rep guy, I think he'll do a great job with them. And then as it goes, and hopefully we get into some situations in 2 minutes where he's got to rush the passer, and those guys have to rotate in there, and we keep them fresh. But he's going to get the snaps. I think he'll get probably what he deserves, and we'll go from there. And if he earns more, then he earns more.
Have you guys figured out a rotation of it inside?
No, I kind of like it the way we do. I think it'll be, you know, by committee a little bit in terms of who we're playing and what kind of group we're playing and how they fit with what we want to do that week. I think we got three starter capable linebackers. They've all started. They've all done a good job, and they're doing a really good job for us here.
Can the same be said for the safeties? Will the opponent in the situation dictate which of the strong safeties gets the opportunity?
Probably as well. We'll try to use so we get the best matchups we can, the things we think that work best for us to give us the best opportunity to win. So I think it's in today's NFL, you get a lot of that where matchups are key, and the way they spread the field and the way people do things, it's important to have the guys that can execute against that particular type of offense on the field so we can play our best and give ourselves a chance to win.
Now that you've gotten a full preseason of work from Nick Herbig, just what's impressed you the most about what he's been able to do?
Well, I think it's just I think when you look at in terms of how he pass rushes, he's not just a run up the field guy. He uses technique and moves, and he's looks like he's studied the people he's going to play against, and then so he does that for a young guy. I think he does that really well, and that's kind of, to me, that's been kind of eye-opening.
How's the rest of his game? Edge, run defense?
He's good. I mean, he's not going to be as good as some of our older guys are right now, but he's not deficient in that area.
Are Joey and Keanu ready to play starter level snaps week 1? Keanu Benton.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, we got a couple Keanus.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah, don't be like,
it's your first team with 2 Keanus, I'm guessing?
Probably. I think they've gotten, I don't know if they've gotten enough reps, but they've gotten enough reps where they're ready to play and contribute. And we'll see how it all plays out as the season goes on. But to say that they've, there's always more reps we would have liked to give them, but with both of them missing a game in the preseason, they probably haven't gotten what we'd like. But I think they've gotten enough to be out on the field and help us.
Just to follow up on that, I mean, with Joey, where have you seen him grow the most, and where else would you like to see him continue to evolve before week 1?
I think the biggest place he's grown the most is just the technique of an NFL DB. But that's like every college guy coming in. That's the biggest area you have to grow, because if you don't, you're going to get a ton of penalties and you're going to struggle. And I think he had one last week, and really was a kind of a minor thing when he was kind of bringing the guy in. He just got to know to keep his arm off of him, but everything else he did was pretty good. So he's working that way, and I think that's probably the biggest area, is just the technique part of it is really been, probably night and day from what he's used to.
Obviously, you guys still have plenty of practices that you can use between now and week 1, but is there any level of trepidation during this long layoff of, like, for instance, like, man, we haven't seen a ton of this guy in game action in the slot, or a ton of this guy as a nose tackle in game action? You know what I mean? Like, is there a level that you guys need to get to before you can roll that out now in regular season, every game?
No, I think it's we're like everybody else. We've got our 3 games, we've had our training camp practices, and we've got to be comfortable with what we've seen and put the guys out there, and I think we will. So I think we'll make sure that we get the right guys out there, and if their role grows as the season goes on, then so be it. If it doesn't, then we move on.
You guys have seen this offense more than anybody else. Your camp, taking reps, team periods, things like that. What's the biggest difference that you've noticed in the offense from last year to this
Our offense?
Yeah.
Oh. I think that's interesting. I think I think that obviously the continuity of the offensive line and adding a couple guys I think has been really good. Just as our guys practice against them, and I think Allen and slot is a big difference. You have that third quality guy in there, so they can kind of go a little bit other places. So for us, we kind of feel that in practice. And so that would be kind of a couple just things off the cuff. I mean, I haven't been evaluating our offense because that's not my job, but just that would be kind of what I see.
Going back to Porter's technique, the pick against Buffalo, a pretty good example of doing everything right, start to finish.
Yes,
on that play.
yes, it was. That would be something that he did. What they were teaching. Basically, we always like to talk about guys being able to take the drills and take them to teamwork, and he was able to do that. He took the drills and he took it to the game, and that was really what we're looking for.
That's hands-on, get the guy out of bounds and get your hips
And
flipped.
get your hands off and get back. Yes. So he did. He did a good
Were you
job.
worried about him? He had kind of a grabby reputation at Penn State.
Always worried about that. So you just figure, and I think you do the research on the player, and you find out if he's a guy that's willing to learn and willing to work at it. And if he is, then you can take a chance on it because a lot of times you can correct that. A lot of that stuff is correctable.